Hello guys, another quick video for you here, talking about taking this TDCI Puma Land Rover apart. And as you can see now, the engine bay is getting a bit emptier, and the reason I'm doing this is, as you can see, we've got some down in here, there's some rust starting, little areas of it, and we've got down here something worth looking at on yours, I guess. Underneath this there would be a radiator shroud here. We can see down in here, these are the power steering pipes, and they are very rusty. Now, bearing in mind this is 2011, 16,000 miles, never really been off-road, so you can see there. And then also here we've got rust on this front cross member, and then when we come around here you can see there's quite a lot of rust beginning in this area here and on these brackets. And then also you've got these down tubes here which support the slam panel, and you can see there's rust on there. The paint on all this stuff is about a micron thick. It's ridiculous. This bracket here is rusting, the slam panels are all rusting, as you can see, you know, and it's all these brackets here are all rusting. So yeah, not good, not as good quality as they used to be. Oh, and just one thing guys, if you want to take your wings off and you're going to follow the old style of, you know, undoing all the bolts along the inside under here, run down the back of the wing and then take these bolts out of here, you can't, because there's a bolt here. I don't know if you can see it, I'm trying to point it out here. You can see the nut there that I'm turning. That is a M8 bolt that goes through the wing from the inner wheel arch. And what they've done between this bracket, I'm pointing at now, between the bracket and the wing itself, they've put a like a speed nut thing, so you can't actually get the bolt out. So the inner wing and the outer wing have to come out together. In here you've got the air filter box. That won't come out unless you get the shroud out, and you can't get the shroud out unless you take the fan off. Now you need a 36mm spanner, and then I made up this bracket here. Some say you can just hit the spanner and undo, mine wouldn't. So I just got this piece of angle, drill two holes 70mm apart, and then that jams up here underneath this pulley here, and then you can just tap the spanner and off it comes undone. So that's a handy little tool. It's just a piece of this, what is it, 16 gauge angle, two holes, as I say, 70mm apart. They're kind of M8 bolts, you could use M10, and that will just lock that pulley in place when you go to undo it. Now on this side you've got the windscreen washer tank. If you want to get that out, you're going to have to take the shroud out, and all of these hoses, there's about 9 million hoses all down this side on this engine. It's ridiculous, they're everywhere. And basically what you need to do is take all them out, so that you can then undo the bracket that holds the power steering reservoir here, pull that right down out of the way, and then you will get your screen wash bottle out. So if you get a screen wash bottle freeze up and it cracks or something, that's the only way you're going to do it. If you just need to do the motors, you can probably get them through here, through the headlights. You can see here's the wiring. That's headlight wiring. This is the wiring, red and black, all colour coded for the two screen wiper motors. The other thing I wanted to say is, in the manual they talk about taking the inner plastic shield out. Well, they talk about taking some bolts out around here, in behind here and everything. You can't, it won't come out. It basically won't come out. It's attached to the wing, and as I say, this bolt here where it goes through, on the back of there is a like a little speed nut on the bolt between the, on mine, the green wing, between the aluminium wing and the steel bracket on the chassis. So all this needs to come out together, so there's no point in going up here and undoing these 4 bolts. So basically, if you are taking the front end off a Puma, I wouldn't worry about taking that washer bottle out, taking the air intake for the heater out. Just unbolt everything that's holding it all on, take the tower off the shock absorber, and then if you push the shock absorber down, it will go down and stay down for a while, and then you'll be able to just take the whole lot off together. I'm sure that's how they built them in the factory. Plastic wheel arch and the outer arch all together. And I think that's about it. Oh, just one more thing. They tell you to remove the shroud. You undo 2 screws, one here that hold the plastic shroud in. You also need to take off the evap pipe for the header tank up there, which goes all the way around. And you also need to take off the top hose, which is a nightmare in itself. Then down here you've got the thermostat, which is a big plastic housing. That's all clipped in as well down here into the shroud. And the other thing they don't tell you is all this piping here and the bottom hose, which comes across and goes under here. They don't tell you that's all clipped into the bottom of it as well, so you need to get under and get all those out. And these pipes here, what go to the fuel cooler. They call it the fuel cooler, I'm sure it's the fuel heater or whatever. But apparently the fuel's very, very hot going back to the tank, and those pipes cool it through the fuel cooler, which is down there. So, and if you're wondering how these come off, you've got these push-on fittings for these pipes. All you do is just push that down. So let me get in focus. You just push. You can see you've got the blue lug there, and then on the other side there's two holes. You just push that down and it will release. You have to be patient. Don't just go wrenching it. Just push it down, push the pipe on, gently pull back, and it will come off. You'll hear it click and it will come off. So that is about that, guys. We are in the kitchen. Yeah, we're in the kitchen. This is my little Clark shot glass cabinet, as you can see here. These little things are great. Got a dog in the way. Go out the way. These little things are great until they get damp. There's a little air filter on the exhaust side where you put a vacuum. Once that gets damp, it just clogs straight away with dust. And once the grit gets the slightest bit of dampness in it, it's useless. It can't pull. It's not man enough to pull the grit through. Also, the gun that comes with it is it's a load of crap. But as you can see, I've done all these brackets here. It does the job. But my advice to anyone who's got one of these, this time of year in England when it's damp, bring it indoors for a couple of nights before you plan to use it. You need the grit to be dried out. If the grit has got the slightest bit of dampness, as I say, it just won't work. And as you can see, I've done all these brackets. This is one of the brackets that goes between the inner wing and the inside of the outer wing. And then we've got here, this is the clamp for the power steering reservoir. That was very rusty, so that's been dealt with. And then that's the bracket that goes between the clamp there and the inner wing, you can see there. That was also very rusty. Then we got this one here, which goes, this is the other side, this is the left hand side. You can see the Land Rover logo there. That's the one that goes between the inner wing and the outer wing, bolts up underneath. This is the bracket underneath your air filter box. You can't see that until you take it all out. Something that isn't dead clear, if you want to take your air filter box out, there are 3 bolts on the inner wing there, and this thing sort of sits in. If you can imagine, if you're looking now straight on at your right hand front wheel, that's how it sits, and the airbox sits on top of it into massive rubber grommets. That was also quite rusty, so dealt with that one as well. And then this is the bracket that goes on top of your bulkhead inside, and this is where your heater valve sits, on those 3 holes there. Again, this was fairly rusty. What surprised me very much with this, and you might want to look at yours if you've got one, the back side was absolutely fine, but on the top side there were all bubbles under the paint, and it almost looked as if there was moisture on the part before it was dipped or whatever, because you could literally rub the paint off with your finger, and underneath was bright shiny metal. So that's all been blasted now. All around here was all rusty, all on the edges were rusty. So I mean, they don't prime this, they don't treat it, they don't plate it, they don't do anything, they just plate it, dip it, and that's it. It's just paint onto bare metal, and it just doesn't work. You know, they wouldn't do that in 1950, I wouldn't think. So I've got a 1944 Jeep, and a lot of these parts on here, you know, if they'd have been on that Jeep, if they'd have been painted the same as this has been, they'd be gone by now. So yeah, it's all decent quality, it's all decent quality steel, and it's decent thickness and everything, but yeah, it's just the painting's rubbish. So there we, I don't think there's anything more to tell you really. Oh, the air inlet over here, which comes around and goes into the air box, that's a complete nightmare to get out. And also, something worth noting, a lot of people with these, they put a snorkel on, they bolt it here, which is wonderful, if I can just show you my pile of plastic parts. Here is this is the intake. So when you look at it, this bit here goes onto your, just turn the radio off or I'll get done for copyright. This is the bit here that goes on, screws onto the inner wing. Well then here, right next to it, there's a joint. And you can see this joint is not very tight. So if you're fitting a snorkel and you tend to do some deep wading, you're probably going to get water in there because, as I say, that joint is not very tight at all. As you can see there, it's not going to be watertight and there's no sealant or anything, so worth bearing in mind that one, guys. So there we go. I think that's about that. Mustang. I think that's about that. You know, look at on your Puma, if you've got one, is look at your front bumper. I think I mentioned this before. This front bumper is absolutely rotten. If I can get inside here, you'll see. Look how rusty that bumper is. It's absolutely rotten. You can see down here that you can just peel away all the paint they put on. There we go. So yeah, anyway, that's that, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.